Couldn't agree more. Like, couldn't agree more. And I think, yeah, I 100%. I think there's not much else to say on that. I think it's bang on. Like, I think too many people worry about it. The end of the day, that's one thing I will add to that. The thing you have to remember, I think, and people, this is something that I come up against all the time, is what is your client's cycle, your buying cycle? What are they doing? Because this is when I was originally in the mortgage space, this is something I nailed pretty quickly. Was in 30 days, I used to do a thing called a 1 to 31 when I first started. And when I first started helping clients, I used to do a 1 to 31. If you've got something like a mortgage or something where it's repetitive, you're trying to get new people in, the sales cycle is quite short, and it's kind of a churning business as opposed to a thing. You don't need any more than 31 pieces of content. I can tell you that right now. You need 31 good pieces of content. This is what I used to call a 1 to 31. Guess what? This is the maximum 31 days in a month. It's like an advent calendar. You make 31 good pieces of content that has multiple journeys, that takes multiple people through it, and you repeat that every single month. And if you do that, then you can do a podcast or whatever and have more situational stuff. But that churning out every single time, that will get you business. Because the problem that a lot of people look at is they want to level up all the time, which is fine. But if your client comes in and they're new, they want to know the very first thing. They want to know the very first basic beginner stuff. And if you're talking about high tech, real hard stuff, because then you lose them. So I think that's sometimes, as you say, the guy with the copywriting, just repeat, repeat, and repeat, and repeat. It works. They don't all see everything anyway.
Yeah, 100%. So let's take a hard twist here, because this is an interesting one. So what are your thoughts on controversial marketing?
Elaborate. What do you mean? I mean, I know what you mean by that, but just give me an example.
Okay, so let's say you have not necessarily like coming at a competitor or anything like that, but let's say, making a statement or making content that, the norm might not agree with, or might piss people off a little bit. Do you do any of that type of content, or you just like to kind of keep it clean and kind of step back and just provide massive value instead?
Do you know what? It's a really good question, actually. And it's something I battle with a lot because I'm quite a controversial person. I have very controversial, what we do and what we talk about. I have a very specific view set on it. I think people are lazy. I think people are lazy.
We agree on a lot of shit.
They don't work hard enough. Like I always, and they don't. There's a lot of stuff that, and to be completely honest with you, for a long time, I've always not spoke about it ever, because it's like, well, because I'm a nice guy. Like and also I don't want to shit on you if you're not, like if you made a video, like I know what it feels like. We could right at the beginning when people are in the boardroom laughing at you. So I don't want to shit on you for doing that. But the more and more I look at it, I think controversial marketing is brilliant. Polarizing marketing is brilliant when it is truly, truly what you believe. That's where I sit with it. So you'll start seeing me more. I'm becoming, like, I've rebranded a few things. It's like creative astronauts is this idea of like people who are willing to actually go to the stars as opposed to astronomers looking at them. Like it's all of that kind of thing. I do believe in that. And I think you're going to see that. You will see that more in the way I approach stuff, because I do believe in that. What I don't agree with and what I hate, I do actually hate it. In fact, to the point of when a client comes on a discovery call with me, I'll literally drag them over the coals if they've done it, is being controversial for the sake of being controversial. I think what it does is you think you're being clever because you're getting all these likes and all these views and all of these comments, and it means absolutely fuck all. Like it means nothing, to the point of, and actually I think it was more damage to you later, because, and I think what you're doing, you're focusing on the wrong things. And I test this out I've been testing this out recently because I had a client who was talking to me about it. I went on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is terrible for this, by the way, the worst place. You want to go to a platform with the worst amount of value right now, go and spend 10 hours on LinkedIn and you will literally be like, oh, because it is just a circle jerk of people telling each other how great they are and it's just sob story after sob story after sob story. The most controversial, emotionally charged story with zero value from that, zero value. The joke of this is, I did a post saying, are tattoos unprofessional in the workplace? I think it's currently, it's got to be over. It's got to be close to 500,000 now. people are on there just going crazy on it. And then I do my live streams every day on there, which would be lucky if they get 1 or 2 likes. That post, which has got like nearly 500,000 interactions in some ways or another, I've got 0 clients from that. So controversial marketing and the impressions, and I tell you what, and my agency might say, look at that success. Look what we've done. Look at all the impressions. Look at all of that. I've got 0 clients. The live stream that's talking about potentially like starting a podcast or something, I have 1 or 2 likes, but it could pick me up a client, a high-paying, high-ticket client. So I think stay in your lane and if your lane is controversial, fine. But if it isn't, don't follow everyone else because you think you should. And I tell you what, TikTok is terrible for it, but they're all just as bad. It's the donut tastes good until you're fat and you're looking in the mirror. Do you know what I mean? It's exactly the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. Eat your veg, and guess what? You'll have a good physique and you'll look good.
It's your veg, man. I love that so much because at the end of the day, look, I look at every piece of content, and we talked about this before. I am trying to get myself, and I don't hate making content, but I am trying to get myself away from being a content monkey as fast as I can to remove myself from my business so that I can just focus on my clients and actually do the shit that I want to do, right? Not have to make all this content, whereas you're the opposite. You're I love making content. I love it, which is awesome. But you know, something, and I wouldn't say I do controversial marketing, but I'm not afraid to be honest. I'm not afraid to spit the truth. And if I see people doing bullshit that's just not true, I'm not afraid to call that out. Right. And
you inspire me more. Just quickly, that's the type of thing. Like I haven't been like you. I've been too nice, and nice guys do finish last. They do. And you have actually, from watching your content, that I think that's the right thing to do. Like you do inspire. I watch your content a lot on TikTok, and and that's the type of stuff I like. Is it, call bullshit on bullshit is brilliant. But tell you what, scares the life out of me. So
well, dude, here's the thing. It's like, here's the thing, because it does a couple of things from the marketing standpoint. One, the people who, because I'm always thinking conversion. That's what I think. Conversion, high ticket conversion. Are these people going to join my community so I can provide them value and help them, right? What I've learned when you kind of pulverize the market is the people who don't like what you're saying, or they're too afraid to look in the mirror because you're being honest with them, they'll hate you and they'll never buy your thing, and they were never buying your thing anyway. But the people who like you, they're drawn to you even more, right? So if you're calling someone out or you're saying something that's controversial, which to me is just facts, right? I've had a lot of people who've closed high ticket deals with me that are like, man, I love your take on that. I love your straightforward, radical, transparent style, because like, I don't want to deal with bullshitters. There's so much smoke and mirrors out here in the make money online industry, where I'm not afraid to kind of pulverize, but at the same time, you get people that come back at you and they start chirping at you and they're in the comments, and it's like, okay, so I'm not afraid to do it, but I also need to be cognizant of, one, if I'm going to do some sort of controversial marketing, I better know what the fuck I'm talking about, right? Yeah. I better know for sure that I'm right, or I won't do it. And two, I gotta make sure that I'm prepared for any potential backlash that might come. So it's like, I don't do that a lot, but at the same time, I'm not afraid to do it. So it's interesting to hear your take on it as well.
Yeah, I agree. I'm the same. I think I'm doing more of it. I'm trying to do more of it, not for any reason other than I think people need to hear it. That's all. So now it is more like you say like it's a greater cause. It's like that I need to find the content creator. When I look out there, there's only Gary Vee talking real, to me, the real talk of what really should be said when it comes to content creation. He's the only one. Mm-hmm. And, and a lot of people shit on him for that. But the honest truth is, every time I've done what he said, it works. And every time I listen to somebody else who's trying to be more calculated, it doesn't work the same way. And so, as you say, if I can only find Gary Vee, that means that I have a responsibility to show people that. That's why I don't have a VA, is that reason, is that I have a responsibility to be like, look, it's possible. I'll show you it's possible. And all you guys saying it's not possible can fuck off. Like, because it is how but I don't want to do that. I just want to get in my lane, talk to my people, do my content. But but I need to do that. And so I have been doing that more, but I agree with you. You've got to know your stuff. I've been quite controversial about YouTube Shorts and called out some big creators on YouTube on that. And it's been good. It's worked, but I agree with you completely.
Yeah, 100%. And let's make a quick pivot and we could wrap up here in a couple minutes. But
Yeah, sure.
so could you kind of tell my audience, and we talked about this before in depth, where do you see, obviously, you know, we're both on TikTok, I'm on Pinterest, I'm on Facebook, I'm on everything except I'm even on LinkedIn, even though I don't utilize it. Where do you see kind of the social media platforms going over the next year? What do you think is going to be the platform or platforms that are going to be the most performing? And where are you kind of putting all of your eggs or putting, you know, a lot of your time and effort into?
I think I was watching something about this recently saying like what are overrated and underrated platforms. I think if I go through those quickly and then I'll explain. So I would say LinkedIn, heavily overrated, heavily overrated. Don't waste your time.
Agreed.
Don't waste your time. Like, it's just a load of rubbish. Overrated. And that's partly due to Gary Vaynerchuk hyping it up a bit too much, I think, for its own good. TikTok, very underrated, but a bit confusing as to where it could go. I think if you're going to be making TikTok and investing your time in TikTok, then you should be putting that content other places to hedge your bets, because I'm not 100% sure it'll be there in the future. And that's what me and you were chatting about.
Yeah.
The two places that I would be right now, YouTube is so underrated. It is ridiculous, like so underrated, both on shorts, live streams, and long form. So underrated. And I'll tell, like, just probably the biggest one of all of them. And I would probably couple that with Facebook. I would say that Facebook and putting Instagram into Facebook, because we sometimes forget that. We always sit there and go, oh, for Instagram, Facebook, they're the same thing. Like, they're the same thing. They're just different. Like, Facebook is more of the user experience there. TikTok, Instagram is more of the kind of consumption, the fast consumption. Facebook groups and stuff like that is hugely underrated. We were chatting about this off air before. It's massively underrated. Facebook is, everyone's sitting there and we're hearing people saying Facebook's dead. And I can tell you right now, when people are saying that, they're absolutely lying. Facebook can't die. It's way too big. So it's way too big. So I would be 100% be putting my time and effort into Facebook. I don't, and it's a bad thing. I need to look at that. It's very much on my strategy of where to go in the next 90 days. But YouTube is where I'm putting, this is what me and you are speaking about, I'm putting all my eggs into YouTube, into that basket. There are 3 types of content that I believe you need to be focusing on as a business, and YouTube absolutely kind of encompasses all of them, which is why I think it's great. First thing is short form vertical content. You cannot, you know, you're here, Brad, it's what you do. You cannot sleep on this. This is, you know, short form vertical content is here. It's here to stay, 100%. You should also be looking at some form of podcasting in your business, because audio is being indexed by Google. That's going to happen in the next 5 years. And the people who, you know, if you turn around and say, Alexa, give me some tips on content marketing, or because people will use voice the same as they will use Google right now in the next 5 years. And your podcast could be the number one to come up there. And then live streaming. These are the 3 things: podcasting, live streaming, and short form. Live streaming is one of the best ways, like true interactive live streaming with your community will generate you so much business. So those are the 3 types of content that I think you should be looking at. And I really do believe you should be building them all on YouTube for one reason and one reason only. It is the 2nd largest search engine in the world, and it will be forecasted to be the 1st within the next 10 years. And I have 0 doubt that will be the case. And it is so underutilized. And the trick to do this is we all see, TikTok's the same, by the way. I think TikTok's a similar thing, but we all see YouTube as oversaturated, but it's only saturated in a very small amount of niches. Those are vloggers, those are entertainers, those are makeup people, those are fitness people. But guess what? You try and find a decent content marketing, digital marketing person, pretty hard, apart from maybe Neil Patel. You try and find, there are not many, sometimes to the point where I know you guys are digital nomads. Me and my wife are minimalists. We're trying to find a good minimalist creator. 0. There's no one. So that means that there is just open markets for everything. And if I'm looking for it, that means someone else is looking for it as well. So I would say if you are a business owner right now, YouTube Shorts, you just throw everything you can at YouTube.